I'm muted. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's live stream reading of Doll's House Part 2. This is my husband, Drew Watts, and my name is Katie Watts, and I'm the director of this incredible production produced by GhostLit Repertory Theater. I want to take a moment to say thank you to GhostLit Artistic Director Harrison Lane for this amazing opportunity. You give a voice to so many who normally wouldn't have the chance. Thank you for your courage and confidence in the unknown. Each live stream GhostLit does serves as a fundraiser for a different organization that supports communities that are being hit hard due to the coronavirus. Hi, I'm so sorry, everybody. Just had a technical difficulty. So tonight's fundraiser is for the Be Strong Global Empowerment Mission, or GEM, who is working directly with manufacturers and distributors to ensure that necessary personal protective equipment are sent to people in hospitals across the nation. Be Strong, which was founded by Bethany Frankel, is partnering with GEM to help upwards of 250 hospitals nationwide. My husband, Drew, is a medical professional on the front lines battling COVID-19. Be Strong and GEM help ensure that people like my husband have the proper gear to protect themselves. In the side chat bar, you will see a link to make a donation to this organization if you feel moved to do so. So tonight's production features David Bertoldi as Torvald, Stephanie Hart as Anne-Marie, Isabel Jolazada as Emmy, and Olivia Wilcox as Nora. In the explosive and surprise finale of A Doll's House, Ibsen's 1879 masterwork, Nora makes the shocking decision to leave her husband and children and begin a life of her own. The play ends with Nora literally slamming the door on everything she's ever known. This door slam heard around the world instantly propelled modern drama into the modern age. In A Doll's House Part 2, we pick up 15 years later. Nora's returned to the same door that she walked out of. But why? Well, you're about to find out. In the event of any technical difficulties, please stick around. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hold on, I'm coming. Oh, Nora.
Hello, Anne-Marie.
Nora, I can't believe it's you.
So good to see you.
It's really you, Nora. Nora, it's been so long. You got a little fatter and you got a little older and you got a little
certain age.
Don't I know it? Well, come in here and give me a hug. It's so good to see you. How are you? Come in, there's some chairs. You can take a chair and sit in it.
Don't worry about me, I'm fine.
Well, I'm going to sit. My knees aren't good. However I look on the outside, inside it's a whole lot worse. And how are your insides?
They're good, Anne-Marie.
That's good. Mine, I don't know, it's the stomach that feels like it's going all wrong, but you look good. And if your insides look good and in good order, then I'll take your word for it. I just can't believe it's really you.
Well,
I didn't know, no idea if you'd ever come back around in that first month, in those first 6 months, in the first year or 2 or 3 even. There was the thought that maybe you'd show up and come back around, but then more time passed and you didn't even write, no letters, nothing. 15 years. Could have thought you had gone off and died. Well, I, for the record, never thought you were dead. I mean, a lot of people thought you were dead. I mean, other people, not Torvald and the kids, of course, but a lot of people think you're dead.
okay.
And I look at your clothes and it looks like you're definitely not destitute.
Not at all.
It looks like you're the opposite of destitute.
Very well.
It's just so nice. I'm happy to hear that. I never wanted bad things to happen to you.
House is
Yes.
it's so
different.
I remembered.
Same house.
Stuff.
You forget things.
A cuckoo clock used to be there. Is that
Gone,
the cabinet with the trinkets?
gone,
My piano.
and that's gone too.
A portrait. There was a picture of my mother.
I mean, of course, anything that was yours got thrown out after you left.
Right. So, how much time do we have?
Until,
He gets back.
well, a few hours.
Sure.
He's at work.
He still works.
But I've been thinking, I don't know how you feel about this. I know you're just briefly in town, and I know you said in your letter that you were just going to be very briefly in town and that I shouldn't tell the kids that you were here. But I think, no, I didn't.
Oh, you scared me there.
Well, not that that would be such a bad idea.
They're grown-ups. They have their lives. Their lives are without me. There's no point.
No, I understand. But I mean, if you wanted to see them, I'm sure they would really like to see you, I think.
I don't agree. Who am I to them? I'm nobody. They were so young. I'm not a person to them. I don't mean anything.
I don't know about that. Well, that's aside from the point, but what I was thinking is that maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to see Torvald while you're here, just to say hi, just to, I don't know, see each other, given how much time has passed, given how things ended, given how that you're just passing through. I mean, no pressure, real easy. I just think it could be helpful. It could repair something.
Something broken?
I wouldn't say that.
Repair. Is Torvald still broken? Is he still broken over me? I mean, I'm sure.
No.
Good. That's good. So then he's well.
He's not broken. I didn't mean to make it sound. He's great.
He never remarried.
No.
No, didn't think so.
But I do think he should get a dog. I think that if he had a dog, he'd be happier. Not that he's not happy. I mean, not that it's just that he likes dogs so much. I see him and he'll see a dog and he'll get so happy and he likes the dogs and he lets them lick his face and he holds them close. And I told him to get a dog and he said no. And I said, why? And he said, the dogs die. Dogs die. They get sick. Their bodies break. They hurt. And when that happens, he'd have to put the thing out of its misery, cut its throat or break its neck or pelt its head with a rock. And he doesn't want to come to love something only to have to kill it. And I sort of wanted to say, I didn't say it, but I wanted to say that I think he's at a point where the dog would probably outlive him. And I think it's pretty optimistic to think that he'll be around to put the dog down. But what about you? Tell me about you. What's happened to you?
I'll tell you what, I am not the same person who left through the door. I'm a very different person.
Well, yes, I'd imagine.
You really want to know?
Yes, I know nothing.
Yes.
Guess?
You want to know what I've been up to, but I want to know what you thought I was doing. What did you imagine?
Oh, Nora, I don't know.
You must have imagined something. How could you not? You're saying you never thought about it.
No.
You wondered, you thought.
Well, of course I did.
What?
Well, you've done very well.
You know that now, but
Yes.
you thought I'd have a very easy time.
No. Okay, well, I thought maybe you might have had a difficult time being a woman and being the way women are sometimes often treated these days,
You think it'd be very hard.
that you struggled.
What would you think if I didn't struggle?
I think you were very lucky.
Lucky.
Fortunate.
Clever, not resourceful, not.
No, of course I didn't.
I think I was lucky. Interesting.
I didn't mean it as an insult.
No, I know. I'm just interested in these kinds of things. I think it's to be expected that a person who would think that after I left this house, my kids, my husband, that I'd have a very difficult time.
Well, the world is a hard place.
So we're trained to think. I mean, I think there's something in our time, our place, and culture that teaches us to expect and even want for women to leave, who leave their families, to be punished.
Well, I didn't say that.
Come on, keep guessing. This is fun. Come on.
You've made money,
Yes,
a lot.
correct.
Are you an actress?
Oh, no,
Are you a dancer?
nope.
Something having to do with clothes.
I find it so interesting, the things you're guessing.
All right, then. Are you a lawyer?
No,
A banker?
no, make some serious guesses.
Do you make things?
Sort of. Yes and no.
I don't know. I don't know.
I write books.
You're a writer.
You're surprised.
You made money writing.
A lot.
So you're a popular writer?
Women's writing is very popular. There's a big interest in it.
What do you write?
It's about women.
Okay.
The things that women do and want and don't do, and the way the world is towards women, and the way that the world is wrong.
Well, have I heard of these books?
One of them is very controversial.
I think I'd remember if I saw a book you'd
I
written.
don't write under the name Nora. I have a pseudonym.
Oh, that's clever.
At first, I wasn't sure what to write, so I wrote the first thing that came to mind, which was a story about a woman who lived in a house like this house, had a husband like Torvald, and lived in a marriage in which, by all appearances, was a good marriage. But for the woman, for my heroine, she felt suffocated. She felt like she had no options, that her life as his little wife, it was set in stone and there'd be no possibility of anything else ever. So she left her husband and she started a life of her own.
So basically you wrote your own story.
With some differences.
Well, of course, but
it's mostly about me and how I no longer see a reason for marriage.
well, now, Nora.
I think that women who are not happy in their marriages should refuse to honor the contract and leave.
That's a terrible thing to tell people.
Is it though? Think about it. Marriage is cruel. It destroys women's lives.
Oh, I don't know.
Really?
Well, maybe in some cases.
More than some.
Marriage makes a lot of people very happy, very happy.
Well, I'd argue most people would be happier, more fulfilled without it.
You can't say that.
You can't say they wouldn't be.
If marriages were so bad, do you think people would still be, after all this time, people living on this earth would still be getting married?
We do a lot of things that aren't good for us. This we do because our parents tell us from an early age, our parents, our churches, our leaders, everyone tells us that we need to do it. So we believe it. And this idea gets etched inside our skulls. But you only think you need it because it's all you've ever been told. They tell us it's an expression of love, the ultimate expression of love, the one that we're all working towards. How does that make sense? To say, I love you, therefore you should tie yourself to me and you can never leave me. You can never love anyone else. You're off limits. I own you. I own you. That's what marriage says. And to me, it sounds more cruel than kind. Also, when you marry, you say, I choose you and I choose you forever. Who is this you that they're choosing? Because people change over time. People change into different people. How can you say, I want to be with this person when this person is not going to be this person 3 or 5 or 10 years from now? But there you are, committed forever, stuck until death, stuck with a person you don't want to be with, or with a person pretending to be a person that they no longer are. I mean, I'd even go as far to say that marriage makes a person change for the worse, because before marriage, you're wooing this other person. Wooing. What does that mean? It means you put your best self forward, your kindest, your most attractive side forward, and you woo until you convince that other person to commit to marriage. And then what? What happens when there's no more reason to woo? You put your best side forward. Marriage tells us that you're committed, you're bound to this person regardless of how you're treated. Think about it. Don't you think that encourages couples to treat each other however they want, to be as awful as they want? It doesn't matter because you're in it until death. This happens all the time and people are miserable. Yes. Yeah, we want to be intimate with another person. We want to know another person. We want to love that person deeply, be naked with that person. Why do we need marriage for that? And why does it have to be with one person and for the rest of your life? Seems so sad. And we know it's sad. We know it. And we go and we reach outside that contract of marriage. Happens all the time, men and women. We fail to be faithful because deep down, We ache for more. And because this ache is in the core of who we are, but we stomp it out and we beat ourselves up for failing to be something we never were to begin with. And so I say, just end it. End marriage. And it will end. I know it. In the future, 20, 30 years from now, marriage will be a thing of the past, and those in the future will look back on us and they will just be in shock, just total awe of how stupid we are, how backwards our thinking, how sad it is that we put ourselves through this completely unnecessary process of self-torture. 30 years from now, people will have many spouses in a life, many spouses at once, and there won't be lines drawn between couples. There won't be jealousy because there will be nothing to be jealous.
Nora,
You disagree.
all of this is just so against nature.
What is nature?
That maybe there's a reason why things are the way they are, why men are the way they are and why women are the way they are. It's been like this for all of human history. Don't you think there's probably a really good reason why it's this way? And you go and you fight it, and that's going to make people very uncomfortable.
I know. That's why at the end of the book, she dies.
Who?
The woman, my heroine, who says all the things I just said to you, had to kill her off. Oh, the book wouldn't have been published if she didn't die of consumption at the end of it. I wish I didn't have to do that, but I figured it's more important that people hear her ideas than not at all. And so, but in my mind, it's not so much a literal death as it is a symbolic one. You know, she sheds off her old life and enters into a new one. So it's not like I'm saying anything that anyone doesn't already somewhere in their minds sort of already think of. Certainly if they're being honest with themselves. Which brings me to the reason I'm here. You see, some women who read the book were so moved by it that they even went so far as to actually leave their marriages. But it so happens that one of these women was the wife of a particular judge who presides in the particular city where I live. Oh, he was mad. He wanted to find a way to ruin me. And so he set out to find who I really was, who I was behind the name I publicly used. Turns out, isn't that difficult? All you have to do is threaten to take a publisher to court. So what? Who cares, right? So he's got my real name. What do I have to hide? Well, he went and did some digging around. And after he'd done his digging, I got a little letter from him. It said all the things you'd think he'd say. I know you really are. I don't like you. And I'm really mad. And so on and so on and so on. Until he revealed a secret that not even I knew. He wrote, I know your name is Nora Helmer.
Yes.
Isn't that strange?
But that he found out your name?
But my name isn't Helmer, not anymore. Anne-Marie, Torvald never filed the divorce. 15 years ago, he was supposed to do it and he didn't. And now I find out that Torvald and I are still husband and wife.
Well, I'm sure that's not true. Someone's confused.
So I got someone I knew, a lawyer, to look into it. And it turns out that yes, Torvald never filed the divorce. And that yes, he and I are still married. Did you know?
No, of course not.
He says that unless I publicly retract everything I said in my book, write a letter, have it published in all the newspapers, apologize for what I wrote, apologize for encouraging women to leave bad marriages and say what I said was wrong and dangerous. Unless I do that, he will expose me, expose my real name, expose me as a married woman who claims to be unmarried. I've signed contracts, done business, it had lovers, all sorts of things that a married woman is not allowed to do, that are illegal, that amount to fraud. This judge could do a lot of trouble for me.
So that's why you're here.
I do plan on seeing Torvald. Tomorrow, I will see him. I'll simply ask him for the divorce. Ask him to send a letter to the local clerk, clear up any confusion, and let everyone know that we have not been man and wife for the past 15 years. The clerk files the divorce, it's done. Crisis averted. It's so easy for him. Easier for him than me. The way that the laws are, the man can get a divorce for no reasoning at all. But a woman has to prove the man did something horrible to her, threaten her life, commit incest, gave her syphilis. Hopefully, he'll just file the divorce and we can get done with it before the judge follows through on those threats.
And my role in all of this?
Based on even the little you said earlier, it sounds like he's still upset about what happened between us. I might need your help.
Oh, well, shit, Nora. Shit.
Are you fine?
I think I've gone and misinterpreted what I said. And was it what I said about the dogs? And now you have this picture in your head of him being spiteful and sad and broken and obsessed. And I just wanted, oh, fuck it all. I just thought it would be nice if after all these years, you two could sit together and have a nice talk and have things be normal and nice. And maybe even, who knows, but you read too much into the things I say.
Anne-Marie, you didn't do anything wrong. I might need a little more help. We're allies. We go way back. You're like a mother to me. You practically were my mother. You raised me.
Yes, and I raised your children.
And I'm like a daughter to you. Yes? Isn't that true? Before Torvald, there was you and there was me, and that was it.
I don't like being in the middle of things. Allies, that sounds like a war. I like everybody just fine.
Yes, but I'm in a precarious position right now.
So am I, Nora, so am I.
Yes, but if you...
I'm interrupting something, aren't I?
Why aren't you at work?
I forgot something. I left papers. There's a big bound stack, like about this big, that I thought I brought it to the office. Do you know what I'm talking about? I could have sworn I took it to the office, but I don't know. I feel like doesn't matter. Who is your friend? Are you going to introduce me to your friend?
No.
Oh. Are you?
Yes,
You are.
I am.
I have to go to the bathroom.
I really thought he'd be out until late. I didn't know. I mean, he never comes home during the day. You should go. I think you should go. You should
You should go. When he comes back, he and I will talk, and we will talk alone. This isn't how I wanted it, but this is how it is, and I'm just gonna have to deal with it.
Well, he might be in there for a while. I'm pissed. I'm pissed off at you. I don't like how you sprung this on me.
I have to deal with this now. You should go. Are you going to say anything?
No, I don't think so. Not yet. It's not wanting to. It's just that I don't know what to say, really.
That's okay.
I did not expect this.
I'm fine just sitting here with you for as long as you want.
I've thought a lot about what this would feel like.
What?
This. I'd wondered what it would feel like if I ran into you on the street.
And how do you feel, Torvald?
I feel shaky. My hand is shaking. My leg is also shaky.
If you want, I can leave. Come back later. All right, I'll leave. I'm leaving.
Just tell me why you're here.
Maybe now's not a good time.
No, just do it.
Will you look at me?
I doubt it. Not yet. Just talk.
All right. Here's what it is, Torvald. When I left you 15 years ago, you remember that night? I told you you were free. You had no obligations to me. I gave you my ring, you gave me yours. We agreed, we made an agreement that the marriage was done and that you would divorce me, and that would be that. 15 years passed. I've been under the impression all this time that we were divorced until a few weeks ago when I found out that you never filed it. Is that true? Did you never divorce me? Why?
Did I want to leave you?
No?
I didn't want to divorce you. You wanted that.
Okay, well, can we agree now that you'll do what it needs to be done to make the divorce official?
And why do I need to do that?
I would do it myself, but I know that you and I, a man and a woman in the eyes of the law, do not have equal rights to a divorce. So I do need your help here. I can't do it myself. You know it's not right to hold me to something I don't want to be held to. Are you really, after all this time, going to stand in the way of me getting a divorce? It cost you nothing.
You're assuming that it costs me nothing.
What does it cost you?
Maybe not as much as however much that dress you have on cost you.
What? Torvald? Okay. Then let me tell you what it cost me, because you won't file the divorce because you're holding me in this marriage. That is not a marriage. You have made me a criminal.
A criminal?
Yes.
How?
I have behaved as an unmarried woman. I have conducted businesses that married women are not allowed to conduct without the consent of their husbands. Signed contracts that are now void. I could be prosecuted and put in jail. And believe me, there are people who would have me prosecuted, have me dragged through the mud.
You're that unpopular.
This doesn't just apply to me, Torvald. This affects you too. If you ever wanted to get married again, haven't you wanted that?
No.
Not even the possibility.
No. Nora, I haven't. You sort of killed that for me.
Well, just so you know, there have been other men. After you, several. I've had lovers. I've had a life. I did what I did thinking that you and I were no longer married. And now, because you failed to take the action that you said you would take,
I'm not sure that
I'm now in danger of having that life taken from me.
You left. You left me. You walked out this door. And you left me. And you left the kids. And when I think back on what happened, I think to myself that I have one big regret. I wish I left you. I should have left you. Long before you left me, I should have. I think back to all these moments where I should have left you. There are so many.
Are there?
Every time you chastise me for being too serious or being too worried about small things, never taking seriously the things that I cared about. And every time you ask me for money, every time you ask me for money, by first telling me how much you love me, as if by telling me that you love me would make me give you the money. It's really manipulative, by the way. Every time you'd ask me to do a favor for a friend of yours, you had all these friends. And always it became my responsibility to fix their problems, as if the only value I had in your life was either my ability to give you money and find your friends a job or a place to live, never considering the possibility that maybe I didn't have time to help everyone you thought needed help. And you could tell that the favors you were asking me made me uncomfortable, but you pushed and you pushed. And you'd say things to make me feel like I was being a wimp or weak. Every time you talked down to me.
You were the one who talked down to me.
Every time you flirted with other men.
I never.
Yes. And every time you made fun of me in front of other men. And every time you rolled your eyes at me or.
That to me too, all the time.
You told me that I was kind, but being kind wasn't enough to make you want to be with me. And the moment when you told me that your own needs were more important than taking care of your kids, your own kids, who needed you, who missed you, who wanted you. And then the moment you told me you didn't love me anymore, that moment, that was maybe a minute before you walked out of here. But I wish I didn't take it like I took it.
All right, Torvald. I see that you see me as some kind of monster, but you're not totally clean here either. You've changed what really happened in your mind. You make yourself into the victim, into the blameless, the right, the better one of the two. That's you. That's how you are. You have to be right and superior. This thing that men do, of standing in front of women and looking down at them, telling them how the world works, educating us, me, about how things should be, as if you were some kind of expert.
And what would happen if we didn't? I wonder sometimes about this. Yeah, I won't disagree. It happens. We do this, okay? But I wonder if women ask that men behave the way we behave in some ways.
Really?
We didn't project some kind of confidence and assuredness in what we know or think we know. Would women even be attracted to men?
Confidence is different.
To stand up straight and lead.
Talking down to me.
How? Explain the difference.
Also, here's another thing that bothers me. You don't get angry.
Of course I do.
Maybe once you've ever.
Right now, I feel angry.
Right now, you feel angry.
Damn right I do.
I don't believe that you are angry, that you're in it, that you're inside of that feeling of feeling angry. No, I think you're just outside of it, looking at it like it's some kind of interesting thing. You don't act. You're constipated. You're scared. I don't like that you're scared. It's a really big turnoff.
I'm sorry. I'm not really trying to turn you on right now.
There it is.
What?
That tone.
Of
condescension.
Not standing up for myself?
Don't read that as standing up for yourself at all.
Then what is it? What is the difference between being condescending and standing up for myself? You won't say, even though I've asked you twice to show me.
You can just disprove me.
So you can educate me. I would like to learn.
You would like to be right.
I'd like you to stand up and take the lead and teach me something.
I did. 15 years ago, right here, I did that.
No. What happened 15 years ago? If you'd like to talk about that. Okay. Let's talk about that. Is that you stood here and you had your big epiphany. And I thought then, and I think now, that a lot of things you said had a lot of validity. You said that we never had a serious conversation in 8 years of marriage. And yeah, I think that there was some truth to that. We'd both been avoiding things, avoiding hurting the other. And all of that avoiding of stuff made us liars. And yes, we have to tell the truth. We have to stick our noses in some shit. We have to, you talk about a true marriage. You talked about how what we needed was a true marriage. Well, I think sticking our noses, sticking our faces in the shit is a really big part of that. But listen, Nora, here's where you're wrong. At the very moment that you realized the problem with our marriage.
Well, there was more than one problem.
No, I get that. I'm not saying there wasn't. But the moment you brought the problems to light, you walked out the door. That's shitty if you ask me.
How is it?
Shitty because having epiphanies is easy, but actually doing something about it.
Doing something about it was leaving. That was doing, and it sure as hell wasn't easy.
Easier than staying and trying to tough it out with me, us toughing it out together. Instead, you run off and pretend like this is the same thing as being strong. And I look at you and I think I did so much for you. I loved you. And you threw it away.
But who did you love really? Because who I was when I was last here, that wasn't me. You liked that. But what I was doing, that was just for show. All the flitting around, the whole, oh, Torvald, help me. I can't figure this out. I can't do anything myself. Help me. That's not me. That was a thing I was doing because if I didn't do it, then you wouldn't have paid attention to anything that was important to me. I don't think you would like what I'm actually like. I hurt you. I know that. Don't think I don't know that. And I knew what I was doing when I left you. I knew it was very cruel, very harsh. But staying would have been cruel to me.
And our kids?
Don't bring up the children as though that drowns out anything I have to say about why I did what I did and whether I did was right. Do I wish I had done it differently? Who knows? Would I not do what I did? Absolutely not. No regrets, Torvald. I'm not playing around. It's out of the kindness that I'm asking you to file the divorce and not me. It's easier for a man. The courts don't care about the reason, but for a woman to do it, the laws ask me to prove that I deserve the divorce. And in order to deserve the divorce, I have to make you look very bad. I have to ruin you, your reputation and public records. I have to. Do you want that? Torvald.
Do it. Do it. I'm not giving you a divorce because you don't deserve for this to be easy. If you're going to ruin me, I want you to do it. I want you to decide to do it. I want you to do it so you have to think about what you're doing. You say you'll ruin me. You already did that. Except it happened while you were far, far away. This time, if you're going to do it, you're going to have to be a part of it. All right. That's what I have to say. Anne-Marie? Anne-Marie, stop pretending that you're not listening and come in here. I'm late. I have to go. Show her out when she's ready to leave.
I found your papers.
You and I will need to have a talk when I get back, okay?
All right, Anne-Marie, this is where I need your help. Torvald won't give me the divorce himself, so I now have limited options of how to get it. Option one is the option where I make up a story that Torvald did something awful to me, threatened my life, or something. You corroborate the story. Option one would work, but I would never do option one because option one is wrong and weak. It's just ugly. Option two, I give in to the judge's demands. I retract all my writings, everything I've ever published, everything. No, I'd rather die before taking it back. Option two is not an option. So what I need is an option three. Do you have an option three?
I'm still pissed at you. And I think you should go. He's gone, and it's not appropriate for you to be here. You've put me in a bad spot. You've put me in a... Torvald is all I have in this world, my only family. He takes care of me. He supports me. Do you know why? He doesn't have to do it because he's grateful to me for sticking around after you ran off, for staying with him through a very difficult time, taking care of the kids, raising the kids, and looking after him. Oh, he was a mess. You have no idea. You can't even begin to imagine the silence, the not eating, the very dark thoughts he'd think, the shame, and how this must have looked to him. The thoughts he must have had when he saw us together, conspiring behind his
Weren't.
I want you to go. Just leave. There's the door. I know you know how to use it.
No, I'm not leaving. I'm staying. Go get me a room ready.
You are being
It's my legal
selfish.
right.
No, you're not.
I'm married to Torvald. I'm married to Torvald. I'm married to Torvald. So then this is my house just as it is his. I deserve to be here. And this is where I will stay until we are no longer married.
Just take option two.
Never.
So what? The judge wants you to write a letter taking back some things that you said that you probably shouldn't have said in the first place. So what? It makes you feel bad. Just get over it.
Not about feelings.
You don't have to run with every feeling you have. You don't have to indulge because some feelings make trouble. And here I am. Forget about how I feel. I have feelings too, but also my livelihood is at stake.
So is mine. On paper, we're married. That means as my husband, he has claim to all of it, all the money that I've earned for myself.
Wouldn't.
What?
Take your money.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. He was always very weird about money, very controlling.
You can trust him.
I don't want to have to trust him. That's my point. I can't be tied to him. I can't always be looking over my shoulder, worrying. That's what I left. That's what I ended by walking out the door.
And what about me?
What about you?
You're saying what? That I don't matter?
No, of course you.
He will kick me out.
No, he won't.
Here, I am the one total innocent in all of this.
That's so.
I think so.
You're so innocent.
Aren't I?
You're saying you have nothing to do with this problem.
And you're saying I do?
You're not doing anything to help fix the problem.
After all the problems that I have already fixed for you, I have to fix this too? Is that what you're really saying? Fuck you, Nora. Fuck you. You have zero gratitude. I raised your kids. You should be coming in here. First words out of your mouth should have been, thank you, Anne-Marie. Thank you for abandoning your own life, your own child, and raising mine so that I could go off and do my little thing.
I didn't ask you to do that. I didn't make you stay. I left. You decided to stay. I am thankful that you stayed, but that was not your responsibility. It was your choice.
How could I leave?
Just like I did.
I'm not as cold as you.
You had even less reason to stay. It should have been easier for you than me.
It was my job, Nora, and if I didn't do what I did, 3 very young children were going to be left alone.
They had Torvald.
A father, but no mother?
Well, not enough. Men leave their families, happens all the time. A mother, but no father. Now, but if a woman does it, she's a monster and the children are ruined.
As far as I'm concerned, either way is bad.
I'm just going to put this out there. You do realize you did the same thing I did.
How did I?
You had your own child, but you left her to raise another mother's child. You chose to love someone's child who wasn't your own, and that's okay. But don't tell me we're different. We're the same.
No, we are not. I didn't have a father with money like you had a father with money. I didn't have the same options that you had. Do you think I wanted to leave my home and become a nanny? My options were what? Working in a factory and wearing my body down to the point of uselessness at an early age, or I could go out and become a prostitute.
No, yes, you're right.
I would never, ever have left my child if I didn't absolutely have to.
But I did. And you may not believe me, but I had to leave. And leaving my children was... That was the hardest part. It's the part of what I did that I hate the most. That hurts. It still hurts. You don't think there wasn't a moment that I didn't think of sending a little letter, a little note saying, hello, mommy loves you. Mommy's thinking about you and she misses you very, very much. Or on a birthday or Christmas, sending a gift. I did. I bought them gifts, Anne-Marie, for the first couple of years. I had a little pile of gifts for them sitting in the corner of my room. I'd buy these gifts and I'd be just about to send them. And then I wouldn't, because I knew that sending them would make me feel very good. But for them, because I thought about them thinking about me, thinking that they must wonder about me, and thinking that I wanted to answer all of their questions. Better there to be nothing, to be silence, than this thing that's somewhere in between, because that, Anne-Marie, would be cruel. A wound has to be allowed to heal. No matter how much you have the desire, the urge to, it's not good for the healing. Do you understand? Do you? What I did wasn't easy. It was hard. It took discipline. I had to think past the feelings and about what was best for everyone involved. And yes, because of what you did, because of what you gave up, my children felt loved, and I am grateful. You say I'm not, but I am. And I am so sorry I didn't make you feel like that. Anne-Marie, I have money. I can give you a kind of freedom. I can buy you your own house. I can give you a lump sum of money, provided that you invest wisely. You'll never need to work again. You're on some kind of, I'm sure, tiny allowance trickling out, just enough money to get you to the end of the week. Isn't that true? And I look at you and you're so tired and so worn. When you walk, you limp. And you say you have problems with your stomach. And in exchange, Torvald gives you a room in the back. I can give you a better life, and I promise you it is not conditional. You help me or not, that's up to you. Can I do that for you? Will you let me do that?
No. I don't want your money, and it's too late in life to just pick up and... Option 3.
What?
Option 3. You said you were looking for a third option for handling the problem with Torvald. I know a third option. Would you like to know what it is?
Yes.
It means you have to do the one thing I think you're most scared to do, but if you want what you want...
What is it?
Meet with your daughter.
No.
Wait.
Good idea.
Just hear me out.
I'm like a stranger to her.
Listen, you were not able to convince Torvald to agree to the divorce, and I would never be able to convince him either. Our words mean nothing to him, but Emmy, she can be very persuasive. I think you'll be impressed. You know, I raised her to be very resourceful, just like I raised you. And I think maybe she would have a good idea for what could be done.
I think it could be confusing the way things are. There's a balance. I don't want to upset it.
But she's an adult, and there's no damage you can do, not now. She has a life outside of you, and she's happy with that life. I think you aggrandize yourself. Hey, I have nothing to gain from you meeting with her or not. You ask me what will get you what you're looking for? This is what will do it. It's the only option.
Hello. I'm Emmy. I'm your daughter.
Yes, I know.
It's very nice to meet you.
You. I hope you're all right with this.
With this.
Meeting me, I hope it isn't strange or upsetting.
No, not at all.
I was worried it would be.
Why?
I've never been a part of your life.
This counts as being part of my life?
No, but a little step towards seems potentially, I don't know, harmful. I don't want to do any harm.
No, I don't think us doing this meeting, I don't think it does any harm.
Okay, good. I hope.
And just so you know, I feel no animosity towards you.
That's nice to hear.
This is exciting! Meeting you!
Yes.
I don't remember you at all.
I didn't think you would. You were very little, very...
For the longest time, I thought you were dead.
Well, you were not the first person to tell me that.
Everyone thought you died. Everyone in town, everyone who...
I didn't.
Except, obviously, Torvald and Marie, my brothers, but I did for a long time.
So when did you...
When I was 7 or 8.
I see.
My brothers told me they remembered things I didn't or couldn't, and they told me about how you left. I didn't believe them at first. Sounded like the kind of thing you say to avoid telling a kid the harder truth, but Yver said that if I didn't believe them, then I could go down to the clerk's office where they keep all the records, birth records, death records, and he said that if I looked for your death certificate, there wouldn't be one. And I went to school with a boy whose father worked in the clerk's office, and this boy liked me, so I acted like I liked him back and got him to let me into the office one night. And I looked through the records, and there was no death certificate, and then I knew that you weren't dead. You just left. Bob and Yver told me that someday maybe you'd come back and that I should be ready for it, that you would come and that you would take us with you, and that you would be a lot more fun to live with than Torvald, who... He's not bad, but fun isn't the word I'd use to describe.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's kind of adorable. His sort of... I don't know what to call it. No, that's not quite. Bob remembered you best.
Oh, Bob.
Bob missed you the most. Bob could draw. I asked Bob if he would draw a picture of you. He wouldn't. Yver said that it was probably because if he did, Bob would start crying. And Bob never liked to be seen crying because he thought crying made his face look fat.
Yes, I do remember that about Bob, about him. Not the fat face thing, but the crying. He doesn't still do that, does he?
He does.
Oh, poor Bob.
Yver, on the other hand.
Opposite of Bob.
In every way. Now, tell me something you remember about me.
You?
Yes.
Here's something. When you were born,
Yes.
I had you very fast. You came right out of me like you were racing to get out into the world, like you couldn't wait. The boys, they were very slow. I was in labor for, oh God, it was terrible. But you were very easy. So you can put that in your book of memories.
And tell me something about you.
Like what?
I don't know. Are you happy?
Yes, very.
What makes you happy?
My work makes me happy. I like my house. I have a nice little house. It's on the lake. It's quiet.
That sounds nice.
And are you happy, Emmy?
I am.
What makes you happy?
All sorts of things. I have enough money. I have enough food. Physically, I'm fine. There aren't any problems with my health.
That's good.
I actually think in a lot of ways things turned out better because you weren't around. I think I'm better at life because of it. I had a lot more responsibility. I had to deal with some difficult truths about life at an earlier age than you usually have to deal with those types of things. I feel bad for the kids who growing up had the usual life. I feel special.
That's good to hear. I'm happy that,
People say I'm an old soul.
yes, you seem very grown up, very adult, very impressive.
Thank you. And you've done well because of it too, haven't you?
What do you mean?
Anne Marie told me that you have your own money, that you write books.
Yeah, I do.
I find that very interesting.
You do one?
I don't really read books.
No.
Never could get interested in. I get bored easily.
And so, Emmy,
Yes?
did Anne Marie also tell you why I'm here?
All I know is that you and Torvald were supposed to be divorced, but you found out you're not, and you're trying to get Torvald to file the divorce, but he won't do it.
That's pretty much it.
I'm guessing what you want from me is for me to go to him and convince him to do the thing that he's refusing to do.
Yes, I was just thinking that if you were to go to him, tell him that this is what's right for him, for everyone. Tell him it'll be all right, that there's no point in wrecking everything he's built. Tell him to do it for you.
But it's not for me.
Of course it's for you, the whole family, you and Bob and Yver, and the kind of, I don't know, disgrace that could come as a result of, it would make the family look very bad. And I don't know if Anne Marie told you, but there's this kind of judge threatening to.
Yes, I know.
Right. So I understand you may have concerns. Let me address some. Maybe you're not sure how to approach this matter with Torvald. I understand that that could be awkward. What do you say? You go to him out of the blue. I think you should give Nora the divorce she's asking for. No, he'll think you talked with me and then I put you up to it.
But aren't you
What?
putting me up to it?
So say instead, you don't tell him that we met, and say instead that you heard from Anne Marie about my problem. Well, you did. That's true. Anne Marie told you what she told you, and say you got to thinking about the situation and my dilemma, and that this could mean to Torvald and how it could look really bad and put him in a bad spot with his reputation. Explain to him how you think it's best to just let it go. Let all of it go. File the divorce. If you can show him how it's making it worse for himself, if you leave me out of it, because I don't think Torvald does what Torvald does for my sake. I think his interests are.
Are what? What do you think his interests are?
Honestly, isn't it apparent? I think he doesn't want to let me go, and there's some part of him that's still hoping that maybe I'd come back to him and there could be a reconciliation.
Did he propose a reconciliation? No. See, I think you're very wrong and that you've made a lot of assumptions and that you don't know what you're doing. You think you do, and it's not your fault, but I need to correct you.
Correct me.
Torvald did something really stupid. I know that he's still, technically speaking, married to you, and I'm not saying that none of this is his fault. There's fault on his part for sure. But basically, what happened when you left, people noticed, and of course I noticed, and people would ask, "Where's Nora?" And Torvald, I'm sure you could guess, he was pretty upset about it, felt pretty private about it, didn't want to talk about it. It was embarrassing. People ask him where you are, and he'd have to say you left him. It would be awkward, both for him and for the person asking. So at first, when people asked, he'd say that you'd gone away, left town, visiting family, something like that. He really didn't say much about it. He didn't want to lie. But then when about 2 or so months had gone by and you're that you had gotten sick, and Torvald didn't say no, so that's the story that went around. You were gone, and you were sick, and recovering at a sanitarium. And then another month or two passes, and someone somewhere makes the assumption or says something that is worse than that, and that you hadn't recovered. And you were no longer alive. And that's what people assumed. And Torvald now he's in, and to explain the truth, I know it's a weak thing he did, but he had his job bank and was a very respected member of the community, very well liked, trusted. To have to explain an embarrassing set of truths and misunderstandings and so on. So he said nothing. And by saying nothing, he was sort of saying something, which is that you had died. And once people came to think that, that's when, well, you know what happens. When that happens, outpouring of affection and support, people visited. They brought food. They really around him and us, the whole family. And there's also some government support for the families. There's some money you get. Of course, there was no death certificate ever filed, but these things, mistakes, oversights, just because of the way people found out, this gradual sort of realization that that's what was, and because Torvald is well respected, well liked, and because he runs the bank, you see, it's a problem being here doing what you're doing. Do you?
No, I don't.
It's fraud. Technically, it is. It's fraud. And Torvald could be tried. He could lose, and just like you, and that's why he can't give you your divorce. But there is another option. You die.
What?
Let me ask you, who while you've been in town? Me, Anne-Marie, Torvald, anyone else?
No.
Good. Remember how I said there's no death certificate? What if there was one? What if, using what connections I have, that piece of paper were to just show up in the files of the local clerk's office? You see? If you're dead, there is no marriage.
Does Torvald know about this idea?
No, this is my idea. I came up with it myself. It's clever, isn't it?
It is.
Thank you. So, will you do it then? What reason would you have for not doing it? I can't think of you.
You'd be committing forgery.
Yes.
Of records.
Sure, but
Trouble that
no one will find out.
I do have some experience with this kind of thing, and you'd be surprised how these kinds of things just sort of come to light at the worst possible.
Torvald's lie is exposed.
How is this right? How is it right that Torvald lies and I'm the one paying for it, you're the one paying for it, that I'm expected to be the one to lose everything because...
It's just that I'm engaged. To a man.
I see.
Named Jorgen.
Jorgen?
He's a banker.
Of course he is.
He works with gold. And if you cause a scandal, he won't be able to marry me. And there goes my future. Gone. You don't like that, do you?
What?
That I'm getting married. You think no one should get married.
No,
Hillary told me. She told me, don't bring up Jorgen, but it seemed weird, not just because we're in love. I know you probably don't believe in being in love.
No, I do. I do believe it. I have nothing against love, Emmy, but love is different than marriage. Marriage is a binding contract, and love has to be the opposite of a contract. Love needs to be free. And it is free until the moment you marry, and then something changes. And you're no longer as free as you once were because you go from being two separate people to something more like one person. And one person gets swallowed up. And because the way that the world is, it's you that's going to get swallowed up into him. And anything you want for yourself will have to be a part of what he wants. And he's going to expect this from you.
Jorgen is very kind,
Oh,
very.
has nothing to do with kindness. It has to do with what people do and what have always done, and don't even bother to question. How much do you know about marriage?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Because you left. I know nothing about what a marriage is and what it looks like. But I do know what the absence of it looks like, and what I want is the opposite of that. I want to be held. I want to be possessed. I want to be somebody's something. And I can see you cringe when I say what I'm saying, but that's about you. And it's not about me. And I'm telling you what I want, and you may want something different for yourself, but don't make wants about your wants.
But
You're telling me I don't want what I want?
I'm telling you that I once wanted what you wanted, only to find out when I got what I wanted, it was definitely not what I wanted.
But you don't know that it will be the same for me. I'm not you.
I have a feeling you're a lot like me.
No.
The kinds of things you're saying are the things that I said.
You don't know me. You came back here for the first time in 15 years, and you didn't want to see me. The only reason you're even talking to me is because you want something from me.
No.
That's not why you wanted to see me?
Yes, I did come here to ask for some help. But
See?
You think I didn't want to see you?
You don't ask me any questions.
Because I don't know where to begin.
How do you think it makes me feel to know that the only reason my mother wants to see me is to get me to fix a problem for her? You've never given me anything. This is the only thing I'm asking for.
You'd be putting yourself at a terrible risk.
What about you? You talk about the trouble I could get into by forging a death certificate. I'd imagine you're facing is much worse. Aren't you scared?
What scares me more is the thought of you doing everything that I did that I wish I didn't do. That's worse, because everything that I've done since walking out that door means nothing.
Everything you've done, which is what?
The books I've written, everything that
These books that tell women to leave their marriages?
Feeling stuck, and some are moved to.
And how is that good? How many women have left their husbands because of you? How many women have left their children? How many women have left their husbands and children and gotten themselves the same kind of trouble you're in right now? It's like you've saved everyone from a drought, but you've left them with no way to get back to shore. I actually think it's good to be stuck in a marriage. It's the fact that we're bound together, that it's difficult to leave, that actually makes people stick around and try. I think because if things keep on the way you say they should, then what will that look like? A future where everyone is leaving each other. That in a time, one person will have tried to be with, 4, 5, 6 people, but always just skating their lives, never able to settle or slow or experience anything that takes any real adult time. Never finding a home, never finding a place to rest, never finding a person who knows you. And that sounds, and what do I know, but that sounds so sad and so lonely and so deeply unsatisfied. This future where we're all just nomads. Is that really what you... You let me do this for you. Nora Helmer will officially be dead. You leave here, you move somewhere quiet, you stay for a couple years. This trouble with the judge, it will eventually pass, and then you'll be free. Free of Nora Helmer, and that's what you always wanted from the very beginning, isn't it? When you walked out that door, you wanted to find out who you really were. You found that person. You don't need Nora Helmer anymore, she's dead. And now you really get to be reborn as this new person you did. And me and Torvald and my brothers can go on living lives without you. Nora?
This isn't right. This scheming, this lying, this is what I left behind.
Where are you going?
You think I haven't given you anything, but you don't know what I've given you. Because what I'm trying to do, the kind of world I'm trying to make for you, it hasn't happened yet. But it won't happen this way, not if I let you or Torvald fix this problem for me. No, I have to do this myself. If that judge wants me to publish a letter, then I'll do it. I'll tell everyone, yes, yes, I'm a criminal, and no, I'm not sorry. And I'll go and I'll face these people who are telling me what I can and can't do and show them that there's nothing that they can do.
They can put you in prison.
It doesn't matter. Because I'm already in a prison if I'm relying on Torvald to give me divorce, if I have to hide behind a pseudonym, if we're beholden to all of these bad rules is what they are. There are so many bad rules in this world, Emmy, and I'm not going to follow these bad rules. This is my chance to change the rules. Because 20, 30 years from now, the world isn't going to be the kind of place I say it's going to be unless I'm the one to make it that way.
Torvald's been attacked.
What?
I just found him like this, walking through the streets like this, like a crazy person.
I'll go get some bandages.
Blood's coming out of his head and people in the street are staring at him. Everyone's going to think you've gone out of your mind. This is all your fault. None of this would have happened if you hadn't come home. I should have never answered your letter. I should have never said it was all right for you to come here.
Anne-Marie, why don't you, I don't know, take a walk. Emmy, you too. We should talk.
I see.
Anne-Marie told me that you write these little books.
Little.
I didn't mean it. I meant just she told me that's what you do now. So I was curious and I walked into a bookstore. I asked the man in the bookstore, what's the book that the women are reading? I'd like to read that book. And he said, well, you must be thinking of this book. And he handed me the book and it didn't have your name on it. So I figured it must be, right, yes. Yeah, and so I bought the book and I took it with me to the fjord and I sat on the rock and I read the book, the whole thing, from beginning to end. And the book was about you and the book was about me. And it was about all the things that happened between us. It was hard for me to read it.
It was hard for me to live it.
I'm sitting there reading and thinking every so often, oh, I remember that, or I forgot that, and some things made me really mad. And I come off pretty badly in the book. I come off as a real. I'm going to read some parts out loud. He looked at me with a look of condescension. You say things like that often. He sneered. He pontificated. But this is the one. This one is the one that really. I lived in terror of my husband. He didn't so much look at me as much as he looked through me. I didn't exist. Yes, he doted on me, but he only doted because the act of doting made him feel good. But you could have substituted in for me any woman. It didn't matter. Once I asked him what he liked about me. He told me he liked everything. I pressed for more. He said I was pretty. He said I was his. He said I was perfect. This is why I lived in terror, not because he was violent. He wasn't. Not because he ever threatened my life. He never did, unless you count living with someone who can't see you as life-threatening, which in a way it is. That hurts.
Because
I'm not like that. Not now.
it's not about who you are now. It's about how.
I think about dying. I think about how when I die, which will be someday sooner than later, and I think what it is I'm leaving behind, what mark I've made, and I think about how this is it. This is the story that's told about me, and that's it. And I don't want that to be it. And so I went to the clerk's office this morning,
You did.
told the clerk, I'm here to file a divorce.
Torvald,
Let me finish. He didn't understand because,
I thought I was dead.
oh, you know about the,
Yes.
yeah. He thought I was crazy. He said, Torvald, you think you've seen a ghost? I said, no. I said, I've been lying. There's a pile of lies. I've been lying, and that's done. I won't lie. I'll face the consequences. I even said, if you don't believe me, find the death certificate. And he said, well, if there's no death certificate, then he should go ahead and make one. And here he is taking out the papers to write up a death certificate. And it's as if he's about to end your life in front of my eyes.
Did he?
No. I grabbed the pen from his hands, and in grabbing the pen, I knocked him to the ground. And this clerk, he's not a small man. He's younger than me, stronger than me. And he grabs me, he holds me down, and I'm just fighting back, trying to break free of him. And this fight, it's bigger than itself, and I'm fighting for my life. And he pushes me, and I fall. My head hits the ground where there's a bit of stone. It cut into my head. I could hear the skull crack, and he's now horrified. He backs away. I think he's even crying. He says, Torvald Helmer, what have you turned into? What are you? And I said to the clerk, you will give me my divorce. And he nodded his head because he understood that this was about more than it was about. He could have had me locked up, but he understood. And this is it. I did this for you. I made everything right by ruining myself, by exposing a pile of lies that I've been hiding for 15 years, and I'll probably lose my job and lose my friends and lose my savings. But I did it. So hopefully I won't be remembered the way you remember me when I'm gone. You can even go write a new book where I'm a better man. So here, take it. You won't take it.
Thank you. Thank you, Torvald. I appreciate that you did this. But I don't need this anymore.
What?
The divorce. I don't need it. I really appreciate that you.
I can't win with you. I can't win with you. I can't fucking win with you.
There's nothing to win. Stop trying to win.
I'm just trying to be a good guy here.
No, and you make everything about you. You even made my book about you.
I'm in there, aren't I?
It's my book, my thoughts, my experience, my life.
I gave you what you wanted.
Only because you wanted to look good.
You were in trouble.
Because of you. Because of your lies. Your
You were in
cowardly.
trouble, and I saved you.
I don't need a fucking
You
savior.
have no idea what this cost me.
You have no idea what it cost me.
Now I'm ruined because I tried to do the right thing.
Wanted to be ruined.
Oh, that's insane.
You love it when people feel bad for you.
Oh, fuck
Have
you.
to take care of you, nurse you back to health. That's your whole life. Everyone giving up everything for Torvald. Same thing as always. You've not changed a bit.
I don't know what to do around you. I don't know how to behave. What happened? You used to be so, you were a different person. And I find it incredibly disturbing that when I look at you, I can't even see inside there to see the person that I used to know. I think I miss you, Nora. You think I don't see you, that I don't know who you are, but I don't know. I think maybe the same way I made assumptions about you, you made assumptions about me. And maybe I would like what you really are. And maybe I didn't like the things you thought I liked and kind of found them pretty annoying. I don't know. It's just so hard.
What's
All of this being with people.
yes.
Does it have to be so hard? Really? You said there have been others since me.
There were
Who were they?
all sorts of people. Some were important, some weren't. Some stand out in my mind, and some just fade. There was a painter. There was another banker. There was an architect. And there was also the man who built the houses the architect designed. There was this very young man. I thought it would be interesting to have a relationship with a young man.
Was it?
No.
There was a woman.
There was.
Don't be so surprised. She was a widow, used to live 3 houses down. After her husband died, she'd come over for dinner and we'd play cards.
Who was it? Sophia.
Yes.
Her.
What? What?
I just can't picture it. I'm trying. I just can't.
Kids liked her. She liked the kids, but I just couldn't because I was afraid. You say you've become so honest. So be honest with me. I'm talking about 2 people spending time together, figuring out how to be around each other. Is that a true marriage? Before you walked out that door, I remember that's what you said you wanted. So have you ever experienced that with anyone? Be honest with me.
No.
I haven't either. And I don't want to die having never had that experience.
You can go have it. I want you to have that.
What about you?
When I left here, Torvald, 15 years ago, the first thing I did, because I had nothing, no home, no family, no money, was I went and I lived in a boarding house. And because I had no real skills other than I could sew things, I did that. And I made some money sewing, and bit by bit, I saved up what I could. Because what I really wanted to do was, for the first time in my life, be by myself. So I saved up enough money. I left the boarding house and I went and I lived up north. I found what was basically an abandoned shack. And even though I was living by myself, for everything I did, every decision I made, from what I ate to when I went to bed, I could hear this voice in the back of my head that either sounded like you or my father or the pastor or any number of people I knew. I'd always in my head somehow managed to check with that person to see what he thought, even though that person wasn't a person, but my thinking of that person. And so as long as that continued, I decided I'd live in silence, not speaking, avoiding speaking of others. And I lived like this until I couldn't remember what other people sounded like, until I no longer heard a voice in my head other than my voice, or what I thought was certain to be my voice. That was almost 2 years. 2 years of silence. And once I could hear my voice, I could think of things that I wanted to do that had nothing to do with what anyone else wanted. It's really hard to hear your own voice. And every lie you tell makes it harder to hear. And a lot of what we do is lying, especially when we want so badly from other people, is for them to love us. So I find I'm my best, that I am my best self if I'm by myself. But it's nice to sit here with you.
Yes, it is.
All right. I'm ready.
For what?
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do this again. Walk out that door, away from this house, off into... And I know I'm gonna have to fight a lot of people all over again, and harder than I did before. And I might lose everything I have. But I've done it before. And I'll do it again. The world didn't change as much as I thought it would. But I know that someday everything will be different and everyone will feel free. Freer than they are now.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah. Well, I hope I live to see it.
Hello, I'm Lazada. I played Emmy. Thank you guys all so much for watching.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Hart, and I played Anne-Marie, and I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as we did.
I'm David Bertoldi. I played Torvald. Thanks for joining us tonight. I hope everybody's safe at home and healthy.
Hey y'all, I'm Olivia Wilcox. I played Nora. Thank you so much for joining. Please stay safe and watch the next live streams. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.